Hi, everybody. Welcome to Subconscious Sundays. I am your co-host, Reverend April Kling Meyer, and with me, as always, is the wonderful Timothy Freeman. And we are so happy to be with you today. How are you doing, Tim?
Doing great. Thanks for being here with me, and thanks to you guys for being here with us today.
Yes. We're so happy to have you, and we're very grateful for you. Today's episode is on gratitude. So this was something that has always kind of been in the back of our minds as an episode that we wanted to do, a topic we wanted to cover, and we're finally ready to get around to it. And there's a lot to say about it, but before we do that, we want to set our intentions. Tim, do you want to kick us off?
Sure. So Subconscious Sundays, we try to make this a fun and laid back, maybe sometimes entertaining way to discuss potentially serious or heavy topics.
Yes, and we always want to keep it open and inviting, welcoming to those of you who have questions or ideas respectfully. Bring those into the conversation. We always keep the captions open, so any comments that you make as you're watching along with us today, we'll be able to address those and bring those up in the conversation. We really hope that you do.
And we love to be able to gather here. We've been friends for a very, very, very long time. So it's fun for us to gather our shared community here in this kind of weekly ritual in a sacred online space to share our knowledge and hear your response.
Yes, and our core values here are being respectful of everyone's individual journey. Not everybody's going to have the same dream. Being rooted in compassion for ourselves and others, promoting growth and expansion, and creating a supportive community, which we couldn't do without you. So thank you for being with us today. So gratitude. We didn't get a lot of commentary on that this week. I think we've been I think I want to acknowledge that we've been off for a couple weeks and we've kind of gotten everybody out of the routine. We only got a few comments, but they're very, very juicy. So let's just dive right in with that. The question that I posed on Facebook this week was, what are some ways you have made your gratitude more real than simply felt, more outward and tangible? So it was really, I'm gonna say, first of all, it was really hard to come up with a question this week, because what can I ask about gratitude that's not going to be like, I don't know, loaded? And I'll get to that in a second, because gratitude has become kind of a loaded thing. It's been kind of weaponized in the same ways as forgiveness. I'm already getting ahead of myself, so let me just go back to what's being said about it. Jill says, a regular commentator, I feel like I'm terrible at gratitude. Well, I'm glad we're doing this episode then, Jill. I think it's supposed to be tangible, and I have never been very good at expressing it. Some of this idea comes from reciprocity. I never feel I give as comparably as I receive. So Jill really brought reciprocity into the conversation, because expressing gratitude sometimes feels like it needs to be like a tit for tat, like it needs to be some sort of balanced, equal thing for people. And I guess I'm here to tell you that, yeah, that's kind of ideal, but not always possible and not always necessary. So there's that. Um, Else, a new commenter here. Else here in Omaha, where I'm staying, who I've met and have gotten to know and have really enjoyed getting to know. I love to fill my whole body with appreciation for what it is until I feel every cell vibrating with it. Then act from there. The fruits of my actions are so much juicier every time. Could not agree more. Else is talking about the embodiment of gratitude. And I think I'll be talking about that a little bit more in my sermon. But I think that's important to talk about what that process looks like for people. And Else describes it so, so beautifully here. And then Claudia, my mom, she says, the practice of gratitude. This is very curious to me. Like, it doesn't sound like my mom is talking here, but I want to dive into this a little deeper too, because I think I know her well enough to kind of get where she's going. But it's a very curious thing to say. The practice of gratitude does not result in joy. I would have said the opposite, but
Oh,
she doesn't.
does result in joy.
Oh, it does result in joy. Okay, does result in joy, which affects my perspective and my actions, how I view my circumstances, and how I treat myself and others. I define joy as a state of happiness, a state of being, as opposed to happiness, which can be momentary and fleeting. And the second part of that is, i.e., things that can make me happy momentarily, but do not bring lasting joy. So I guess it's not as curious as I thought. I thought it said does not.
Yeah.
What am I reading into here? Sorry, Mom. And we've got James here live with us today. Hi, James. Thankful for your wisdom and the insights and depth of the 26 episodes so far. Yes, 26. And we've decided that we're going to do 32 episodes and take another break, like another long break, and then get going again probably next spring. So look forward to that. We've still got 6 episodes to go, and we're glad that you're here. Thanks, James. James says, I have struggled with gratitude until I think recently it was hard to feel gratitude when struggling. However, now it feels like openness and love for the world. Yeah. And treasuring it in every moment. Thanks, James. So, yeah, gratitude. Here's what I have to say about this today. I kind of have 3 main points. And really, I want to start by kind of saying that James said that something to the effect that like he's had difficulty sometimes bringing gratitude forth. And I've noticed that gratitude's kind of become a loaded thing. Like it's something that's kind of prescribed to people when they're going through a bad time. And I want to get away from that practice, like telling people to be grateful when they're going through grief or sorrow or something difficult is it's a lovely sentiment. Obviously, we wish good things on people, especially when they're going through something that's not fun or not joyful. But just like telling somebody to forgive somebody else, it's a weaponized form of gratitude, right? Like you should be grateful. You should be grateful. Like nobody should be anything. People are what they are. And I think it's very fair for people to be in their sorrow and be in their grief and fully process that. Gratitude can be a part of that process, but it's not something that can really be prescribed. It's not something that can be forced on anybody, coerced. It's really something that's kind of have to come from within. I'll talk about that in a moment. But I like to think of gratitude on my second point as something that's applied in the present in a certain way that can allow us to kind of project gratitude into the future and maybe even help us manifest if manifesting is something that is a practice for you. So what I believe, and I've been having some really excellent conversations about this recently with a performance artist by the name of Andrea Joy. She's a peace builder here in Omaha, where I've been living for the last month. And we've been talking a lot about the practice of the practice of gratitude in the present moment, and how important it is to treat gratitude like not something that we do out in the future when we get what it is we want, when our desires are fulfilled, but to look at the world in a very conscious, present way, remembering all of our past prayers and wishes, our desires, to kind of refer back to our most previous episode, and taking into account everything that we see now, whether or not it's an answer to those prayers, those wishes, those desires, making that sense of consciousness, making that sense of conscious presence very tangible, making it feel very real, looking around wherever we are in the present moment and realizing that there are so many aspects of where we currently sit, where we currently stand, that were unthinkable or unimaginable or merely the product of our fondest wishes and hopes and desires. Even if we are in a bad place, even if we are having a bad time, there's still something to notice within the present moment to be grateful for, in the way that we have been wishing and trying to fulfill that wish to be where we are right now at any given moment in the present. And it's not just noticing this, it's really embodying it. I want to refer back to Elsa's comment about really taking it in physically, taking it in with our 5 senses and realizing that those 5 senses correspond to parts of our bodies, really embodying that sense of gratitude and allowing ourselves the spaciousness to feel the feelings of gratitude. Sometimes they can well up tears. Sometimes they can bring up discomfort. Be with that discomfort. Be with the tears. Let the tears flow. Gratitude can be overwhelming. It can be something that we don't do and we're not in the practice of because it can be so overwhelming. So then, if we're living within that grantedness of our desires, that grantedness of all of our prayers and wishes, if we're living in that, then gratitude becomes a practice that gets easier over time. Just like everything we talk about on this show, all of it's a practice. And the more that we practice, the better at it we get. Now, this is where I'll talk about the future stuff. Not treating gratitude like a carrot on a stick, right? But if we are practicing this embodied nowness, this embodied conscious presence with gratitude, then the way that we can treat the future with this, rather than a carrot and the stick, is to know and to be in trust with that dynamic, knowing that so much of our reality in the present moment is that grantedness of these wishes, desires, hopes, and dreams and prayers, that anything that we're hoping for, anything that we're wishing for, praying for, and hoping for, and trusting is going to be, is something that we can be grateful for in the future. That we know that that practice of gratitude is going to be elongated into the future, and that there will be a point in the future where we can sit in that nowness, sit in that grantedness, and feel that sense of gratitude even then, even if we're in a dynamic of lack with the things we think we want. Even if we don't get sucked into that lack dynamic that way. That's a way of warding that off. And that was an important point I think my friend Joy made, was that this dynamic of lack is what gets us into a lot of trouble, is like really getting to the experience of not having, of lacking, of believing that everything will be okay once we have blank, right? Is the opposite of gratitude. Gratitude is this idea of trusting in that fulfillment, because we're in that fulfillment right now of something that we wish for before. And this to me is the essence of manifestation. I know that a lot of people think, and I say this every time I say the word manifestation anymore, a lot of people think of manifestation as a process that's like only for the privileged. But I challenge us all to think differently about manifestation, think differently about this dynamic of lack that I'm talking about, converting that over and being so aware in the conscious presence of there's so much to be grateful for. I'm not saying live in toxic positivity. I'm saying being in full acknowledgement of all that there is, all that we lack, and all that we have, all that there is, all that's going on, and all that will be going on, and not necessarily just focusing on the positive, but allowing the positive to be part of what we're aware of. And from this, like my mom said, we can derive joy. We can treat this as a source of joy. And like all good things in the world, that all good things that can be multiplied by dividing. Now, I want to kind of describe what it is I'm talking about. All of these things, like all those things that expand once they're given, like love, gratitude, patience. What are some other things, Tim? Like joy, happiness, really. That when we're sharing them with other people or we're giving them, it becomes multiplied, and it's division, and it becomes expanded. It grows when divided amongst other people. And in that conversation I had with Andrea Joy, we talked about the story of the loaves and the fishes in the Bible. Now, I know that I'm an interfaith minister, but that means I include all faiths. So I'm going to get a little bit Christian-y for a second. I hope that's okay with everybody. And say that we talked about like how that story of the loaves and the fishes has a lot of different layers. So the story is that Jesus had been tasked with feeding all of these people that were hungry, who were there to listen to him. And all he had were a couple of loaves and a couple of fishes. And he had to feed this whole crowd of people with it. Now, on one layer, it's a miracle, right? That he was able to feed everybody with just a tiny amount of food. On another layer, I like to think of it as like Jesus maybe was really a good chef or something. Like maybe he was able to make a really good soup with some croutons, that sort of thing. You just add water and then you got a big pot of fish stew. That's one layer of it. And that can be a miracle too. I mean, like I like to think of some of the meals that I make as miracles. But on another layer of this is like on a really esoteric level, maybe Jesus is talking about like our relationship to the land, the wheat that grows, that makes the bread, and the sea where the fish come from. That relationship to the land and the sea that allows us like endless amount of resources if we're able to cultivate it in a way that is like joyful, grateful, and sustainable, like sustainability being one of those things that multiplies when it's divided and shared. Having better relationships with the land that we inhabit and the sea that we're able to, harvest our sustenance from. And then, of course, Jesus's main message, which was love one another, right? Which is something that goes across all religions and all belief systems, that this essence of love, this essence of connection, this essence of brotherhood is something that really does multiply very exponentially when we're able to share it with other people. And I hope now that you'll forgive me for being going a little bit too far, maybe a little bit too far on the religious-y side of things. But I think it's important to mention that because it's a skill that we need to cultivate, but it's also an idea that we need to realize. And when I say the word realize, I don't mean just be conscious of, but make real, make tangible. That's all I have to say about it.
Yeah, this is really good thoughts on this, April. I mean, we talked about this a little bit before, and one thing that I was really chewing on as you were sharing with me how you were thinking on this. The idea that we co-create our life at any moment, at every moment. Like if you subscribe to this idea that we're in co-creation with the divine creative force, if you have those beliefs, whatever organizational intelligence you acknowledge in this universe,
Yeah.
that's allowing us to be here right now and talk and see and listen and all of this, like whatever that is, we're in co-creation. We're in a co-creative dynamic at any point, whatever we're thinking, whatever we're doing. And so I don't know, the way you're talking about gratitude, um, there's a couple of things here. One of them, I'm skipping around a little bit, but the first one was, getting away from this being prescriptive. If someone's if someone's struggling, oh, you should be grateful for that. Kind of how you talked about it being weaponized or whatever. And it's sort of weaponized, right? It's just sort of like it's always sort of good intent, I think, when people say like, oh, you have a lot to be grateful for, that kind of message, right? But it's true that gratitude is one of those things that we can reach for at any time. We can be, if we're present, if we become present with ourselves in any moment, where we can find something that we're grateful for. And I've recently encountered, I think we shared this in one of our last episodes, I recently encountered a perspective where neurobiologically, it's been kind of observed that gratitude provides somewhat of an antidote to worry, right? Like neurobiologically.
Yeah.
So then it becomes really easy to try to be a little bit more prescriptive with it or whatever. But I really like the way you put it where, when you're just present and you've got this conscious presence and this connectedness with the conscious presence in every moment, you cultivate a connection to this divine creative force, right? In that moment. And the more you're kind of like in this like dynamic of gratitude where you're living, I love the way you put this. We're living within the grantedness. We're living in this grantedness. It's not out there in the future. Like we're right now in this grantedness. We're right now in this dynamic of co-creation right now.
Yeah. At every
So
moment.
gratitude coming into this picture, if we can kind of habituate this sense, this feeling of gratitude, I think we can automatically sort of conjure it
Yeah.
when we're present, right?
Yeah.
Um, but there was something I wanted to circle back to here too, April, because there's a lot of what you shared that's just so like rich and deep. This idea of expanding too, like this idea of the things that expand in the universe and the kind of the loaves and the fish analogy to this or
Hmm.
whatever.
Yeah.
I do think that this is one of those things, like it's kind of like when James said, like, it can sometimes be hard to find that gratitude if you are struggling. But this, in my experience, this is one of those like expansive type of things within ourselves. Like the more we can cultivate a sense of gratitude, or we can find that feeling of gratitude when we're in the present moment, um, it tends to expand for ourselves, just within ourselves, right?
Right.
As a habit, as a mental practice, even if you kind of want to view it like that, right?
Yeah. Exactly. The practice.
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff on gratitude out there, right? There's a lot
Mm,
of you know, it can be really kind of like confusing, where like kind of like Jill said, where she brought in reciprocity into this equation. Like some people not
hmm.
might not feel like they're deserving, like of
Right.
the blessings or the what they've been granted in some way, or they haven't given enough to, in some way they're not enough to have received it, which can make some people feel even more grateful in that moment, but it can give other people trouble with gratitude, right?
Right. Right. And some people feel like kind of taken advantage of, like they give and they give and they give and they get nothing back.
Right.
And maybe gratitude feels like a practice like that. Like, why should I feel grateful when I give and I give and I give and I don't get any gratitude back? Right.
Right.
So
Right.
it's that can be troublesome too. I mean, it's a dynamic, it's a thing. I would say better boundaries would help, but sometimes
Yeah.
we think our boundaries are amazing and they turn out not to be. They turn out to be
Right.
faulty. So,
I think the point I was wanting to make on this though too, with there are some troubles that can kind of come out of this, like, but it speaks to two things, like, the expansive nature of this concept in practice.
mhm,
I think that it automatically, when we become kind of better at it with practice, it automatically dissolves some of these troublesome issues. I think that you automatically have to begin to acknowledge that you do deserve what you've been granted, that you are worthy for what you are enjoying and grateful for in this life, right? Like, so there's a lot that comes into play subconsciously on an emotional level when we habituate gratitude, and
yeah,
it expands that way. So you can dissolve some of those troubles, um, but it becomes easier to reach for too. I think that
yeah,
was the final point I wanted to make.
yeah. Just practice. Practice
Yeah.
is perfect. All right. Well, I'll turn it over to you for your beautiful meditation that takes all of these concepts into a process that is going to tickle our subconscious minds and maybe hopefully cultivate that relationship with the subconscious that allows this practice to be more fulfilling and more come easier to us. So thank you, Tim, very much.
Thank you. So, if you would like to participate in this hypnotic meditation with us, go and find a comfortable position, seated or lying down with a straight spine, is best. You can reach a deeper state with a straight spine. Uncross your legs, uncross your arms, take off the glasses if you've got glasses on. Just allow yourself a few minutes just to relax and be present here with your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. We'll bring our subconscious minds a little bit more to the forefront with this hypnotic meditation. Clearly, if you're driving or need to maintain focus, don't participate. But otherwise, settle into a comfortable position. And as you are settling in, I'd like you to just take in a deep breath and just start to feel the sense of what the air entering your lungs is like. And exhale all the air out of your lungs. And we're going to make this one short and sweet today. So find a spot on the wall with your eyes open, just above your natural eye gaze. You're looking upward with your eyes and really, really focus in on one particular spot. Really, you might squint a little bit. Just notice every little detail. Just focus in as intently as you can on every detail of that spot and take it in a deep breath. And as you exhale, look through that spot. Look through, as if you could look through the walls. What's on the other side of that wall? And when you're ready, close your eyes. Good. Now, relax your jaw. And as you do, your shoulders drop slightly. This helps send a signal to your entire body that there is nothing for you to do right now. Now is the time to relax. Good. And go ahead and slow down your rate of breathing. Get into a comfortable, slow rate of breathing with a really long exhalation. Good. And as we continue for the next few minutes with each breath you exhale, your body becomes even more comfortably relaxed. And as your body becomes more relaxed, your mind becomes more relaxed. Good. Just comfortable in and out with your breath. Just a longer exhalation. Good. Now relax the back of your tongue. See how relaxed you can get your whole tongue, particularly the back of your tongue. Often we're prepared to respond when we're listening or in a conversation. When we relax the back of our tongue, we decouple our tongue from the part of our brain always preparing to speak. It allows your mind to be more free to have new thoughts or expansive thoughts. Good. Throughout the next few minutes, see how much more relaxed you can get this part of your body. Slow, comfortable breaths, and take your attention now to the surface beneath you, gently supporting you. That feeling of gravity just gently holding you there to the surface. Good. And as you do, drop your consciousness into your heart. What might it be like to center all of your consciousness in your heart? Do that now. And as you do, bring your attention again to that feeling of gravity, holding you down to the surface beneath you, and bring your awareness down even further, down into the ground, into the earth, layer by layer, down all the way to the very center of the earth. Supported, nurtured. Good. And your next in breath, bring up that energy of nurturing and groundedness from the very center of the earth all the way up through your body, and take your awareness up, all the way up, up, up to the center of the universe, out of the atmosphere, as far up and outward as you'd like to take your consciousness right now, to the very center of the universe, the realm of divinity, the realm of inspiration. Good. Now call in your allies right now. Call in those beings that help you through this life. If you have those beliefs, whatever that is to you, call that in right now. And as you do, know that you're deeply, deeply loved here in this very moment. Bring your awareness back down into your body. where that grounded, nurturing energy of the earth and that energy of divine inspiration can commingle in this balance point of the heart, centering your consciousness in your heart right now. Just feel what this is like, right at that surface between earth and heaven, perfectly balanced. Once again, take your attention to the surface beneath you. As you focus on the sensation, you feel even more settled, even more comfortably relaxed into the earth. Good. Now, take your attention to a sense of spaciousness all around you. As you focus in on this sense of spaciousness, almost as if you're floating there, you can still feel that sense of gravity. It's a little more floating of a quality now. You might not know where your body ends and the rest of your world begins. As you focus on this sense of spaciousness, you notice just how still your body has become. And as your body becomes more still, your mind becomes more still, comfortable, relaxed, focused only on the sound of my voice right now. Good. Really good job. And as it gets just still enough, all that internal talk slows right down. You become aware of the flow of life all around you, this creative life force energy. It's just this flow of life that's always around us. You feel it now. Just drop into that flow. Whatever that feels like to you, just release into it. Now, good. Really good job. And as you're focused here now, in this present moment, with relaxed and tranquil body, relaxed and peaceful mind, you now become aware of, maybe you might view it as a blessing in your life, something that you are really grateful for in your life. This might be a person, this might be a place, this might be anything that pops up right now is exactly right. Whatever you feel an immense amount of gratitude for in your life. And I want you right now in this calm and focused state, just like else said in the beginning, I want you to allow that feeling of gratitude to well up. Think about that person or that thing in your life that you're so grateful for. Probably have some love for this person or this thing. Just feel what that's like right now and allow it to fill up your whole body now, starting at your feet. It's almost like your whole body is a vase. You're filling it up with the most clear and nourishing water that is this love that you feel for this person or this thing that you're grateful for, starting at your feet. You just feel it sort of concentrate in your feet and build up into your ankles, filling every cell in your body, into your calves. This feeling of love and gratitude. It's very calm, very nurturing, feels good to your tissues in your body. Again, that sense of spaciousness is all around you. You feel that sense of love and gratitude come up through your thighs, filling up every cell in your hips, and your lower abdomen becomes even more relaxed right now as that feeling of love and gratitude come up and fill every cell in your trunk, in your chest, all the way up to your shoulders now, down and out your arms. It's this light, warm, comfortable feeling. Now think about that thing you're grateful for. Bring it to mind even more powerfully now, the person. As you're in contact with this feeling of love and gratitude now, it's filling up your body, every cell, moving down your arms, out the tips of your fingers, not sure even where your body ends and the rest of your world begins. It fills up now your neck, up into your head. This very pleasant feeling of love and gratitude goes all the way up to the top of your head. And once it reaches the very top of this base that is your body, it just glows and just bask in the glow of this feeling of gratitude. Bring up that object of your gratitude one more time. So thankful that this person or thing is in your life right now. You can feel it more intently than you may have ever felt it in your life. And silently to yourself, just practice. Just say thank you. And what are you thinking? Who are you thinking? Whatever your highest power, whatever that organizational intelligence is to you that helped create the infinite number of synchronicities that brought this person or thing into your life and has kept it there in your life. Repeat it 3 times. Thank you. Silently to yourself. Now, this feeling inside, you still sense it. It's very peaceful, very warm, but almost like a little vibrating. It's filling up your whole body. It's almost a little exciting. And if that feeling had a color, what would that color be right now? First impression, whatever color comes to mind. Good. I want you to allow that color to wash over your entire body from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, just washing over you like a waterfall. From the top of your head, flowing down now all the way to the tips of your toes. 1, 2, 3. Good. Now moving forward through this week, you want to practice a little more gratitude. All you have to do is bring up this one thing or person that you're grateful for. And if it's okay with you, when you do think of this person, your body is immediately reminded of this pleasant feeling filling up your whole body with a deep sense of love and gratitude. Your mind is immediately reminded of the color that fills your entire body when you have this deep sense of gratitude. It's this felt sense of gratitude that really helps clarify for us what it feels like to co-create in our life. So use this throughout the week. Anytime you'd like to cultivate a sense of gratitude. And in a moment, I'm going to count from 1 to 3, and you'll remain in a hypnotic meditative state here with me, but just a little more aware of your outer environment. 1, 2, becoming a little bit more aware of the feeling of your skin and the air on your skin. And 3, eyes closed. And now that you're in this relaxed state, a little bit more aware, a little bit more focused on what's happening around you as well as my voice. Once again, bring up that feeling of gratitude in your body. Got a little more awareness here, but bring up that color in your mind. Bring up that feeling of gratitude. Let it radiate through every cell in your body now. I'm going to count from 1 to 3 again, and you'll open your eyes, bringing that feeling forward into your waking consciousness throughout the day. 1, feeling great, like you've just had a nice refreshing rest. 2, peaceful mind, tranquil body. And 3, opening up your eyes, right back here with us on Subconscious Sundays. Thanks for joining us for the hypnotic meditation.
That was gorgeous and definitely very, very, very necessary for me as well. So thank you so much. I
Awesome. Yeah, I
found it
wanted to
very
keep it really
touching.
simple.
Yeah.
Awesome. You know, these practices, like the subconscious mind is so powerful. All we have to do is suggest some things sometimes to have these very powerful experiences. And sometimes the simpler the better. So I'm glad you found it very touching.
Hmm.
Um, and as you bring up that color throughout this week, if you want to, you can bring yourself right back to the state. So I hope that everybody does that a little bit this week.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they will. Thank you so much, Tim. And as
Yeah.
always, if there's something that is a little bit more tailored to your life that you would like to explore, if there is a conversation you wish to be having a little bit more in depth with either one of us about the things that we talked about or the beautiful journey that Tim took us on, if you'd like that to be more tailored to your life and your experience, and it's completely available to you. And there's always a place to go in our description. There's always a link to be able to set up an appointment with either one of us, totally free of charge, totally no obligation, and have a conversation about what it might be like to work with one or both of us. So go into the description of any of these videos, either while you're watching it live or if you're watching it in the future as a recorded version. You can go in the description of the video, pick either the link to work with Tim or myself, set up a little time for us to just have a brief discussion about what it might be like to work together. And then maybe if that's of interest to you, working with the both of us, that's an option to you, whether you choose to work with Tim or me in the initial phase. So we welcome you to that kind of work. It's what we're here to do. It's answering our own calling in life. And to be frank, it's kind of the answer to our own prayers and wishes and dreams and hopes to be able to offer that to you and to be of service to you. So take advantage of that. Click the links, set up that time, costs you nothing, no obligation. And it might just be the exact thing that you need to get you into that next stage of life that you're able to practice more deeply and live life more presently and in a more fulfilling way.
Awesome. Thank you, April. Thanks to you guys. I mean, so full of gratitude today. My gosh. uh, Great to talk about this today. And there's a lot more to talk about this. I think that you might hear us talk more about it in the future. There's some stuff that we had talked about that we didn't really get to on this show. So we might do a follow-up on this at some point in the future.
That'd be great. I'd like that. Maybe we'll do a flipsies where I do the
Yeah.
meditation and you do the sermon, because I'm sure there's a lot more to say.
Yeah,
And
watch out. If you guys are getting tired of hearing me lead you on hypnotic meditations, we might do a role reversal on you and
we've
you get
done it
to have April
before.
lead you.
We'll do it again. Anyway, see you next week. We'll be here next Sunday, and we look forward to seeing you again.